My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 45, a high school literature teacher in northern Connecticut, married to Evelyn for 17 years, with two kids, Ben, our 16-year-old who's into robotics and sarcasm, and little Emily, age 9, who still believes in fairies and pancakes on Sundays. We live in a quiet suburb. You know the kind, maple-lined streets, friendly neighbors, garage doors that all open at 5:30 p.m. I used to think we were lucky that we'd built something solid, something real. But that illusion started to crack one Wednesday afternoon when I found a letter in our mailbox. It wasn't a bill or a political flyer or even a birthday card. It was a yellowing envelope with a faded red stamp, addressed in old-fashioned cursive. Mrs. Evelyn Hastings Mercer. Hastings. That was her maiden name. The return address was smudged, water-damaged. No sender name. Something about it felt heavy. I left on the kitchen island. Evelyn was in the living room on her laptop when I walked in. "Hey," I said casually. "You got a letter today. Kind of an old one." She glanced up. When her eyes landed on the envelope, her face changed, just for a second. A flicker of something. Recognition? Fear? She grabbed it quickly, muttered, "Thanks," and slid it into her sweater pocket without opening it. That night, after the kids were asleep, I asked her about it. "It's nothing," she said. "Just something from college. Probably junk." But I knew Evelyn. I knew the way she avoided my eyes. I knew the way her hands trembled slightly as she washed the dishes. And I knew she was lying. The next morning, I found the envelope in the trash, torn into 5 perfect pieces. I didn't ask, but I started paying attention, and that's when I noticed the late-night texts, the hush calls she took on the porch, the sudden volunteer commitments that kept her out until nearly midnight. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. Marriage is about trust, right? But then, the universe decided it was done letting me live in the dark. It happened on a Saturday. I was on my way back from picking up supplies for Emily's science project. As I pulled into our driveway, I saw a man walking away from our front door. Tall, older, maybe early 50s. Military posture. A stiff walk like he was forcing his feet to move. He climbed into a dark gray sedan with out-of-state plates and didn't notice me. Inside the house, Evelyn stood in the hallway, frozen, her cheeks pale. "Who was that?" I asked. Her voice cracked. "Wrong address." That was the moment I knew. It wasn't just a letter. It wasn't just some blast from the past. It was the beginning of something much bigger. That night, after everyone was asleep, I slipped into the garage and opened the locked drawer in my workbench, the one where I kept things Evelyn didn't know about. Financial records, personal documents, a couple of old photos from before our life together. I added a notebook, and I wrote a single sentence at the top of the page. Figure out who that man is, and why she lied. The next day, I waited until Evelyn left for her supposed board meeting at the local hospital foundation, an organization I knew for a fact didn't hold meetings on Sundays. I watched her drive off, took a breath, and went upstairs. I wasn't proud of it, but I went through her nightstand. Not the top drawer, the second one, beneath the lotion and earplugs and bedtime novels. The place where people hide things they don't want to throw away but can't keep in the open. At the back, beneath a stack of unused birthday cards, I found it. The torn letter. I pieced the 5 sections together like a puzzle. The paper was fragile, the ink a bit smudged, but I could still read the words. "Hey, if you're reading this, then I never made it back. They told us this mission was clean. It wasn't. I never stopped loving you. And I pray to God that you found peace, that you found someone worthy of you. Hey," there was a PS in the margin. "If he finds out, I am sorry." I sat there, breath caught in my chest. Hey, there were only 2 men I'd ever heard Evelyn mention from her past. One was a high school boyfriend named Craig. The other was Andrew Langston, her college boyfriend. ROTC. Went off to the Middle East in 2003 and was later reported killed in action. But if Andrew was dead, who had shown up on our porch? I didn't sleep that night. I kept checking the baby monitor, even though Emily didn't need one anymore. I sat in the hallway, staring at our family photos like they were crime scene evidence. And by Monday, I knew what I had to do. I called in sick, told the school I had a stomach bug. Then I made some coffee and opened up my laptop. It didn't take long. A military forum. A thread from 2012. Someone asking about a soldier named Andrew Langston. A few replies. Then one that hit like a freight train. Langston? He made it out. Got caught in an op gone wrong. Went black. Everyone thought he was dead. He's alive. Live somewhere in Charleston now. Quiet life. Changed his name, I heard. Charleston. The sedan had South Carolina plates. I ran a reverse plate lookup. It cost $29.99 and my peace of mind. Owner. Andrew M. Langston. I didn't confront Evelyn. Not yet. Instead, I call my brother-in-law, Marcus, her sister's husband. Former Army intelligence. Quiet, sharp, and suspicious by default. We met for drinks that night. Something's not right. I told him, sliding over the letter and the name. He read it twice. You think she knew? She's been lying to me. About where she goes. Who she sees. There's more here. Marcus. I just don't know what. He looked me straight in the eye. You want the truth, Danny? You better be ready for it. 2 nights later, Evelyn came home late. Past 11. Her lipstick was smudged. Her perfume was different. And she didn't know I'd followed her earlier that evening, all the way to a motel off the I-84 ramp. I didn't say a word. But when she kissed my forehead and whispered, "I love you," something inside me cracked. Not from pain. From clarity. She had a double life. And it wasn't new. The next morning, I woke up to an email. No subject line. No name. Just one sentence. You deserve to know the whole truth. Let's meet. Attached was a photo. Grainy, zoomed in. Taken through a window. It was Evelyn. In bed. With Andrew. I stared at the photo for 5 minutes before I could breathe properly. Not because it was graphic. Thankfully it wasn't. But because of what it meant. This wasn't an old flame reaching out. This wasn't some war-torn soldier who'd stumbled back into her life. This was intentional. Ongoing. Hidden. And I was the idiot holding the pieces. The email had no contact info beyond a name signed at the bottom. Andrew M. Langston. I sat there for a full hour, just listening to the silence of the house. The hum of the fridge. The low whir of the heating system. Everything around me was moving, and I was frozen. Then I did what any man would do when the weight gets too much. I drove. The diner on Route 6 was a weathered place with half the neon out and a waitress who called everyone sweetheart. Andrew picked it, which made me hate it. He was already there when I walked in, wearing a brown jacket, blue jeans, and the guilt of 15 years in his eyes. He stood. Daniel. I didn't shake his hand. Just sat down. I'm not here for games, I said. He nodded. I figured. There was a pause. Long, awkward. I love her first, he finally said. I thought she was gone forever when I was deployed. I wrote her every day. Then came that ambush outside Bakuba. Our transport flipped. 2 guys died on the spot. I was unconscious for 3 days in a dirt hut with locals who didn't speak a word of English. I said nothing. When the military declared me Kia, he continued. She moved on. I didn't blame her. I didn't even know until years later. So what now? I asked, my voice sharper. You just come back and sleep with another man's wife? Andrew flinched. I didn't plan for that. I just wanted closure. I saw her in New Haven by accident 3 months ago. She was crying in her car. I knocked on the window. She didn't even recognize me at first. And then I pressed. She begged me not to tell you. I leaned back. My stomach felt like wet concrete. Why are you telling me now? I asked. Because it's not just her you need to worry about. I blinked. What the hell does that mean? Andrew pulled out a folded document. A birth certificate. Evelyn was pregnant when I left. I felt cold. She told me she miscarried. But she didn't. He slid the certificate toward me. Name, Benjamin Mercer. Father, blank. My hand started shaking. She didn't tell me. Ever. I whispered. I had to find out myself, Andrew said. I did the math. I got a DNA test. Ben's mine, Daniel. I stood. You think that entitles you to walk into my life and tear my family apart? No. I think that entitles me to meet my son. I left the diner without touching the coffee. I got in my car, drove 4 blocks, pulled into an empty parking lot, and screamed until my voice gave out. Then I called Marcus. He listened to everything in silence. Finally, he said, You still want me to dig? Or is this enough? I clenched my jaw. 2 days later, Marcus called back. There's more, he said. Andrew's not the only one from Evelyn's past sniffing around. What do you mean? I mean the guy you saw at the house 2 weeks ago? That wasn't Andrew. I just ran some DMV facial matches. Then who was it? Name's Craig Moretti. Her high school boyfriend. My stomach dropped. She's been meeting both of them, Marcus said. Alternating weekends. Motel registry confirms it. This isn't one mistake, Danny. I couldn't speak. You've been living with a woman who's split her life in thirds. One for each man, one for the image. That night, Evelyn sat at the dinner table, laughing with Emily about school lunch. She looked like the perfect mother. And in that moment, I realized I didn't even know who she was anymore. It's strange what betrayal does to your senses. I could still smell Evelyn's perfume in the sheets, like the ghost of the woman I married was haunting my bed. She moved through the house like everything was fine. She packed Emily's lunch, smiled for photos, kissed my cheek like she wasn't lying with every breath. I started watching her closely. Her schedule was predictable: school drop-offs, yoga twice a week, and now I knew, alternating visits to men she'd once loved. Or maybe still loved. She wasn't cheating. She was double-lifing, triple-lifing. One night, I found Emily asleep with Evelyn's old photo album in her arms. It had pictures from college, Evelyn and Andrew at some beach, arms around each other, smiling like the world belonged to them. I sat beside her on the edge of the bed, gently pulled the album away, and found a note stuck behind one of the pages. It wasn't meant for Emily. It was barely meant to be found, scribbled in Evelyn's handwriting. One day, they'll know everything. Maybe they'll understand. Maybe they won't. But I can't keep lying forever. The next morning, I asked her straight, "Were you ever going to tell me Ben wasn't mine?" Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. Ben, sitting across from us, looked up. "What?" Evelyn's eyes darted to him. "Daniel, don't." "No," I said calmly. "He deserves to know who his real father is. Don't you think?" Ben's face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" Evelyn stammered. "Ben, baby, listen to me. Is it Andrew?" I asked. "You lied to both of us." Ben stood up, his chair scraping hard against the tile. "Mom." She started crying, reaching for him. He backed away. That night, he didn't come home. He stayed with Marcus and Lydia. Wouldn't answer my texts. Evelyn sat in the living room, rocking back and forth like a child, muttering apologies under her breath. I didn't comfort her. She'd lied to all of us. And worse, she'd let me raise a boy as my own without giving me the truth. Not even once. The next evening, Marcus called again. "You were right to keep digging," he said. "Remember that guy, Craig? High school flame." "Yeah. He's not just an ex." I pulled some old court records. In 2006, he filed a paternity suit against Evelyn. Claimed she'd had his child and lied about it. Case was dismissed. My heart thudded. She said he was crazy, Marcus added. But get this, Craig has a daughter. Same age as Emily. Same birth month. I got the test. It took everything I had not to crumble while waiting for the results. And when the envelope came in, I locked myself in the garage and opened alone. 99.99% probability of no biological relation. Emily wasn't mine. She was Craig's. I sat in the dark for 2 hours. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just stared at the paper like maybe, if I stared long enough, the words would change. She gave me a family made from lies. And I'd love those lies more than anything in the world. That night, I didn't sleep in our bedroom. I didn't speak to Evelyn. I sat in Ben's empty room, holding the toy car we built when he was 9. Then I started writing everything down. Not just to remember, to expose it. All of it. And just as I thought things couldn't get worse, Andrew showed up again. This time with a lawyer. The letter came on a Friday. A formal petition for parental visitation rights. Filed by Andrew Langston. Legal. Precise. Cold. Evelyn hadn't even told me. I confronted her that night. She was sitting on the edge of our bed, like someone already waiting for the fall. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" I asked. Her eyes were hollow. "He's Ben's biological father. He has a right." I stood frozen in the doorway. "And what about me, Evelyn? What do I have? 17 years of diapers and scraped knees and science fairs. Do those not count?" She whispered, "You were always more of a father than he could be, but not enough of a man to deserve the truth." The hearing was set for 2 weeks later. In that time, Ben barely spoke to either of us. Emily kept asking why we weren't eating dinner together anymore, why I was always sleeping in the den. I had no answers that wouldn't break them. So I started building my case. Not against Andrew. Against Evelyn. I gathered everything. Hotel records, messages, the torn letter, and photos Marcus had quietly taken during his tailing. One particularly damning one showed Evelyn with Craig at a park, his hand gently resting on Emily's back. She smiled in that picture, like she belonged there, like I'd never existed. Court day came. We didn't have a jury, just a judge, middle-aged, thoughtful. The courtroom was small, quiet, the air still and choking. Andrew wore a suit. He looked humble, regretful, polished even. Evelyn wore gray. She didn't look at me once. Andrew's lawyer was methodical. He acknowledged the years I had raised Ben, but pointed to the DNA test. Claimed his client only wanted to know his son. When the judge turned to me, I was shaking, but my voice was firm. I'm not here to stop Ben from meeting his biological father, I said. But, Your Honor, the betrayal here wasn't Andrew's return. It was Evelyn's decades of deception. She robbed all of us of the truth, including her own children. I handed over a file. Inside, a timeline, documents, and Evelyn's own words from her note. The judge reviewed it silently. Then she asked Evelyn, Mrs. Mercer, is it true you misled both men about the paternity of these children? Evelyn nodded slowly. Yes, Your Honor. I was scared. I didn't want to lose the life I'd built. I wanted to protect everyone. You protected yourself, I said bitterly. The court granted Andrew limited supervised visits. The judge ordered family counseling. And Evelyn, she got a warning. If I see this pattern of manipulation continue, the judge said, I won't hesitate to transfer legal custody. These children deserve stability and honesty. Outside the courthouse, Evelyn finally looked me in the eye. I never meant for it to go this far. I stepped closer. You broke 3 hearts to protect a lie. You don't get to call that love. That night, I told the kids everything. Not all at once, but enough. Ben cried, then hugged me. You're still my dad, he said. Emily didn't understand fully, but she clung to me. You're not leaving, right? I looked them both in the eyes. I'm not going anywhere. But Evelyn was. Evelyn moved out the following week. She didn't say goodbye the morning she left. Just left her keys on the counter, took her bags, and slipped out before the sun came up. I didn't chase her. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't recognize her anymore. And maybe, just maybe, she didn't recognize herself either. The house was too quiet that first night without her. Not peaceful. Hollow. Emily asked if Mommy was on a trip. I told her, Mommy needs some time to figure things out. Ben didn't ask anything. He just closed his door and stayed there for hours. I wanted to follow him, but I knew what he needed most was time. In the weeks that followed, we began rebuilding. Not a marriage, but a new version of family. Ben started opening up again. He agreed to meet Andrew for lunch with me there. It was awkward, tense, but civil. Andrew didn't try to play the hero. He didn't demand the title of dad. He just listened. And after, in the parking lot, Ben turned to me and said, I'm glad he's alive, but he's not you. That one sentence undid 17 days of grief. Emily had more questions. About Craig. About Evelyn. About what a real dad means. So I sat her down, told her the truth with soft words and steady hands. I may not have made you, I said, but you're mine. She blinked. Forever. Forever. She climbed into my lap and whispered, good, because I like how you make pancakes better than Mommy does anyway. Then came the real twist. One morning, while clearing out Evelyn's remaining boxes from the garage, I found a sealed envelope tucked inside an old jewelry case. No address, just a name on the front. Daniel. Inside was a letter, handwritten, 2 pages. It read, Asterisk, I never stopped loving you, but I loved you like a coward. I let fear guide me. I told myself I was protecting the family when in truth, I was protecting myself from losing control. Andrew was a ghost I couldn't bury. Craig was a mistake I convinced myself had no consequence. But you were the only one who ever stayed when I didn't deserve it. If I could rewind time, I'd tell you the truth the moment I found out about Ben. I'd let you walk away, rather than trap you in a life built on half-truths. I know you'll never look at me the same way. I don't ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I never faked the love, just the strength. Tell Ben I'm sorry. Tell Emily she's the best part of me. And tell yourself, you were the only thing I ever got right. Evelyn, asterisk. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it and placed it in a drawer I now use for truths, not secrets. A few months later, Evelyn reached out. She was living in a rented apartment, trying to get her life together. She asked if she could attend Emily's school recital. I said yes. Not for her, for Emily. And when I saw Evelyn at that school auditorium, sitting quietly in the back row, I realized something that had taken me too long to understand. Forgiveness isn't saying it didn't hurt. It's saying the hurt doesn't control you anymore. We're not the family we were, but we're still a family. Ben now sees Andrew occasionally. I don't stand in the way. I show up for every robotics competition and football game. And every time he scores or wins or even just smiles, he looks up into the stands, and he looks for me. Emily is thriving. She tells everyone her daddy fixes hearts, not just cars. I still don't know where she got that, but I'll take it. As for me, I sold a house, bought a smaller one, started a journal. The first entry reads, "The truth nearly destroyed me, but pretending would have finished the job. And in time, Evelyn and I did something I never thought we would. We healed, not together, but side by side. And sometimes that's the best kind of redemption."